Oh, hey, what's going on, everyone? If you're from the region of Northwest Indiana, you probably got a pretty nice idea where I am. It's a nice, lovely early summer morning. Came out here to look for some six-lined race runners to try to noose and examine them closer, because I'm wanting to catch them since I was a child. But seems as though I woke up too early for the goddamn lizards, which is a bad sign. Also means the nicotine patch is doing its thing, because oh my god, those things are evil. But anyway, what we're gonna do today is just probably have a little chill botany one, you know, as you do. Maybe like a 5-minute banger video in the in this nice dune blowout, because there's a lot of really cool vegetation. A lot of stuff that most people probably just walk by and say, yeah, it's a dumb grass or some green matter. Don't really pay much attention to it, but there's a lot of cool shit in here. Some nice flowers as well, I hope. So anyway, we're gonna see what we can find. Oh yeah. Alright, so I'm gonna kick today's video off with a couple of rotten bastards. First and foremost, this right here is Great Mullen, Verbascum thapsus. Common name might be lamb's ears or something. I don't really know. All I know is that it's in the Scoparium, and it's not a native plant to this ecosystem. And also, oh man, I'm out of shape. But anyway, this guy can produce seeds that live in the seed bank for like 100 dang years. So if you see one of these things coming up on your property and you think it's a really ugly piece of shit, you better make a move on that quick, because otherwise you're going to be dealing with it for the next century. But the good thing about it is that it's a biennial plant, so the root system's not too advanced. It's a real piece of shit though. If you ever see it in habitat, do everyone a favor and rip it out of the ground. This one right next to it though, he's even shittier. This is the, I believe this is the invasive bittersweet right here. Celastrus orbiculatus. I'm saying it's the invasive based on the fact that I've got these axillary fruits here. There is a native bittersweet species that's actually being kind of exterminated as a result of hybridization with this evil guy. The native bittersweet though, it only has flowers on the terminal ends of the branches. So if you ever see a bittersweet going on with like axillary fruits like so, that's a really bad sign. It means you're dealing with Asian bittersweet. But enough of the junk. Let's talk about some of the lovely characters that we get in this awesome sandy setting. First one we're going to be talking about is Schizacharium scoparium. This is the little blue stem. You're not going to see the big blue stem out in a more sandy system like this, and the reason for that is because there's not enough organic material in the soil to sustain the larger growth form of the Andropogon gerardii. So out here in the dunes, you get the little blue stem instead. It's still a lovely grass, very cool. This nice, awesome glaucous blue color on the stem. Glaucous means like green, gray, blue, kind of. Whatever. I'm really bad at my botany vocabulary, but I'm trying to get better, you know. We got right next to me is, of course, a lovely one for anyone who's a fan of the monarch butterfly. That's Asclepias, looks like Asclepias syriaca, I would say, judging by its the sandy habitat in which it's situated, and also by the fact that the leaves don't wrap around at the base, eliminating the possibility that that's the clasping milkweed. But anyway, moving right along to another lovely native grass. Oh God. You really got to start appreciating the grass diversity. You know, everyone talks about the Asteraceae and the Poaceae. Well, one of the goddamn graminoids gonna get some fucking love. I mean, honestly, look at this thing. This is Panicum virgatum, the North American switchgrass. It's really cool. It's awesome to see it in its native habitat in this like dune flatland, instead of just seeing it in like rich people's lawns and stuff. So yeah, this is also another very cool native grass. I don't really have that much to say about the grasses. Oh, here's another one. Except for the fact that they speak for themselves and they're like a cornerstone species for these ecosystems. It's the grasses that form the basis of like the basically living anchor, which is the root system on these ecosystems that form on the top of these dune ridges. So what that means is that without the grasses, you're fucked. And what makes grasses go away but social trails? I've been seeing a lot more of these now that the Indiana Dunes National Park is a real national park instead of a national lakeshore. Kind of a dumb name change. We don't get any more funding or anything like that, but they do, as a result, they do get a bunch more signs, which is dope. Don't hire more people or nothing, but hey, you know, whatever. This, by the way, this guy that I'm feeling up and spreading the seed for, this is another very cool native grass. This is Amophilia brevilingulata. This is the American marum grass. This guy right here, this is the architect of these dunes. And these dunes, holy shit, there's some history in here. You've got the native people doing their ethnobotanical wisdom. You've got awesome folklore. You've got crazy history like Henry Cowles coming over here from the University of Chicago to kind of formalize the study of ecology. I would say invent, but he didn't really invent it because, you know, there were already native people here and they invented the ecology. So anyway, that is just to say, this place fucking rules. Anyway, so there you go. American marum grass, switchgrass, little blue stem, common milkweed back there. Try to keep up. I'm going to go point at that juniper next. I hope you're ready for that. I actually said I was going to try to find some pretty flowers for you guys, but I kind of lied because, like, there doesn't seem to be that much that's in bloom right now, and that's just as a result of the fact that this is kind of like a prairie ecosystem. So a lot of the flowers that you get in here, they bloom late in the summer already, and then this being such a nutrient-poor environment, because again, here's what we're freaking working with. It's sand, the majority of which in this part of the country, by the way, is made up of quartz. Silica crystals, which are, you know, not really nutrient rich, don't really decompose or nothing. They're the building blocks of like rocks and minerals, basically. But anyway, we do get some really cool regional endemics in here, and I can show you two of them, I think. This one right here, this is a really neat one. This is Solidago simplex gilmanii, or Gilman simplex, Gilman Solidago. It's a really, really interesting member of the sunflower family. So you can see one budding out. And when we get a good look at that, you can see the nice bracts. Because of course, in the Asteraceae, all that matters are the bracts. The flowers are nice and, you know, they can point you in the right direction, but again, when you're dealing with a massive, massive group of plants like the Asteraceae that has some really cool, like, weird stuff happening in the evolutionary histories, because you've got plants that have massive ranges and they're adapting to their own microhabitats, etc., you get the point. But this is a really, really neat species. What we've got going right next to it is another... This guy's pretty weedy, but he's okay. You know, he's fine. This is Ambrosia campestris, the field ambrosia. It's got that lovely... Everyone out here is going to have that glaucous coloration because that's a really good adaptation to help defend against water loss. So you're going to be seeing a lot of that gray-green foliage color, and the reason for that is because of the ecosystem we're in. It's pretty badass, huh? I knew that happened in deserts, but I never really realized that it happened here until I started looking at stuff. Here you can see a young Artemisia campestris. Now, something that a lot of people do on accident is they mix this guy up with a really, really rare plant that I've talked about before, Cirsium pitcheri, the pitcher's thistle. This, of course, is in the same family as Cirsium pitcheri, but the resemblance kind of stops there. They're in totally separate, like, subgroupings of the Asteraceae. I'm not sure what the ambrosias are in, but I know that the Cirsiums are, oh, shit. Asteroideae? No, wait, they're only... Never mind, you know what? It's not that important. I'll write it up later. But anyway, this is Artemisia campestris. Please don't call it Cirsium pitcheri. That hurts my feelings and Cirsium pitcheri's. But also that nice purple Solidago that we were talking about, Solidago simplex, gilmanii. And right next to it, what we've got here is... No, it's not the endemic. Okay, this is still a nice little plant. This is hairy puccoon. Not to be confused with hoary puccoon, because hoary puccoon is the regional endemic. This is a member of the Boraginaceae. I've again talked about hoary puccoon a little bit on my channel. Good Lord, I'm shaky. Oh my God. Sorry about that. But yeah, so this is a really cool plant. The indigenous people used to use the Lithospermums as a dye, actually, because their orange flowers are absolutely brilliant. And they've got these things called shikinin derivatives in them, which actually have, like, I think anti-tumor applications, but don't pick this for medicine. I say that because, like, you know, when you synthesize the shikinin derivatives but through a complicated process in a lab and isolate them through more complicated processes and stuff I don't understand at all because I hate microbiology, it turns into medicine once you isolate and do all that stuff. But as you can see, it's covered in these nice prickly trichomes, developing seeds. God, what a cool plant. This place is awesome. It's really cool, in my opinion, because the ecology here and some of the patterns that you see mimic what occurs in desert ecosystems. So let's look around this juniper, for example. You'll notice that the vegetation surrounding the juniper is much more lush than the surrounding environment. You've also got some flowers occurring around the juniper that we haven't seen out in the open stretches. There's a bunch of runners going by. They probably think I'm crazy down here. But anyway, this right here is Arabidopsis lyrata. This is a lovely member of the Brassicaceae that you find commonly in the poorer sandy soils. The lyre-leaved rock cress, they call it. As you can see, definitely a brassica. Look at all those nice little siliques. But anyway, what's really cool about like being under a shrub like this and seeing the all this nice lush plant growth is that this is a phenomenon that's been reported in deserts. These little islands of biodiversity, I think they call them, where like basically because you've got a shrub and that provides shade and that provides a little bit more water in the soil and stuff like that, you can have a lot more species occurring in a more nutrient poor environment in a very localized area. It's super neat because look at this guy. He's nodding. That's a hint at who he is. This is another Solidago. This is, I believe, Solidago speciosa, which is another one that we commonly get in the sand dunes. Wait a minute. No, shut up. As you can see, typical Solidago leaves, very simple, alternate. Very nice and easy with the Solidagos. Wow. God, the sand flats are so cool. Oh man. I'm gonna go find some more stuff. There's a couple more flowers I want to bang out, and then there's one really cool member of the blueberry family that I gotta find for you guys. So, you remember who that is? You fucking better. As you can see, like I said, there's not a lot of flowers, but just the colors of the foliage and the different shades of green and the different textures and stuff, I think it's enough. You gotta appreciate more than just the flowers because the angiosperms are only a small group of the total plant diversity on the planet. Like I've been mentioning, there's a bunch of junipers in this sandy area, and there's also a really cool pine tree that I want to talk about over there. That's Mr. Jack, I like to call him. Yeah, but we gotta go wander over a ways to check them out. But I just wanted to show you guys that even though there might not be flowers or anything obvious, there's always cool stuff to be found. For example, this Lithospermum that's blooming way out of season. This one's, he's just opening up the buds, but you can start to see, so this is what I was talking about how the indigenous people used to use this plant for dye. See that bright orange coloration on the corollas? So I believe what they would do is traditionally they would collect these plants when they were in flower for the ceremonial dye, which is very, very interesting. It's also really cool that this plant also has those Schizacharium derivatives. Interesting applications of medical science. And there's cool mosses and stuff too. I was hoping for the race runners, but I just decided to do a botany video. I hope you can forgive me. So what we're looking at right now at the bottom of the blowout is the magnificent Pinus banksiana, and that's the jack pine. So some obvious identifiers about the jack pine that you're going to notice right away that's kind of weird about him. Look at how his cones sit directly on the branches. Isn't that kind of weird? And if you think that's weird, make sure you check out to make sure that he's a pine tree, how many needles he's got per bundle. As you can see, jack pines have a nice pair of needles per fascicle. Nice little V there for jack pine. V for jack pine, remember that. That'll be on the test. But anyway, Pinus banksiana. This is a state-listed plant in Indiana, and it's a really, really cool tree because it's fire adapted, and also it provides habitat for an incredibly rare species of warbler known as the Kirtland's warbler, I believe. They nest in stands of this in the UP up in Michigan, in some of the last remaining nesting sites for that bird, I believe. I don't know. I never really know how endangered stuff is. Climate change just kind of makes me assume the worst, I guess. But anyway, regardless, here's a really nice flower that you could plant in your freaking garden if you really felt the urge. This is red osier dogwood. I think it might be, oh man, Corniceraceae? Not 100% sure. But the characteristics of the dogwood family, look at those nice tubular four-petaled flowers in an aggregate at the terminal end of the leaf, maturing into these weird little fruits, little berries. That's pretty nice, isn't it? The cornice. Oh yeah, beautiful. Like I said, I think this is red stem dogwood, which is that's a nice one to put in your garden. Good flowers on it. The pollinators absolutely love these, by the way. Really, really good. And what we've got down here, just a mass bloom of it is another really cool plant that we get in this part of North America. I think they're all pretty fucking cool, but I'm pretty biased as well. This is Euphorbia correlata. All right, this is a member of the Euphorbiaceae, the spurge family. And what's really cool about the euphorbias are that these are monoecious plants, which means one house. But what that means is that they have separate male and female flowers, I believe. So if we look closely at some of these little euphorbias, you can see the reproductive hardware on a lot of these. And you can see a lot of the male ones carrying pollen. Or is this a dioecious plant? Hang on, one second. All right, so I'm not 100% sure what the breeding system is like in the euphorbias. They might actually be a dioecious plant. But what I can say for sure is that the euphorbia flower anatomy is a lot different than what you typically find in most of your angiosperm families. They've got like their own specialized vocabulary, which is something that you only see when you start getting into the weeds really hard with groups like the sedges and the grasses and all these other highly specialized families and stuff. Because the Euphorbiaceae is one of those families. And a really cool thing about the euphorbias is that a lot of them, similar to the milkweeds, they bleed latex. And that's a really important defense against herbivory, because obviously, if you're full of this nice milky toxic sap and someone starts gnawing on you, they're probably not going to like you very much. But anyway, that's Euphorbia correlata, a member of the Euphorbiaceae. It's going off in absolute spades down here. And with it is, of course, well, there's two things that are with it. One of them, I don't know if it's good or not. The other one definitely is all right. The all right one, that's this lovely guy. Tradescantia. It's kind of it's just a lovely native member of the Kinninninick, which is pretty cool because we don't get a lot of native members of it this far north. Look at those densely hairy, the blue hairs on the base of the anthers. Oh man, and he's nodding because he knows he's a real hot shot. These are really fun plants. They call them the snotweeds because if you bust them open, they emit a mucousy secretion, which is like snot or spider silk rather. For the spiderworts, but you know, it doesn't really matter that much. And then the other guy over here, this is a campanula of some sort, a bellflower, and I'm not sure about it because I thought that there was an invasive bellflower, but this could be a native bellflower. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take some good notes about the plant because we already know the date and time. We know what stage of maturity the plant's at, given that we can see that it is flowering, and in some cases, maturing into capsules. So we know the breeding time, we know the location, we know the habitat, we know what the foliage looks like. Yeah, pretty nice. It's got alternate leaves, very stringy, lanceolate leaves, almost grass-like foliage, I would say. And then, of course, your typical campanula flower with a tripart stigma and 5 petals. And that's how you ID plants that you don't know. You take notes about literally every detail about that plant. And then when you get home with your plant book, you can open it up to the campanula section and start reading and figure out what the hell you saw. So there you go. That's how you do that. Pretty fun stuff, eh? So now I'm out a lot closer to the lake. And so as a result, there's less stuff holding the land together, so the vegetation's kind of more, it's a little bit more weedy, it's hardier. It's ready to survive in this really crushed environment, which is kind of difficult to do at times. But this right here, this is an awesome one. One of my absolute fucking favorite plants that we get in this region. This is Cattleya edentula. It's a member of the Brassicaceae, which you wouldn't really recognize off the bat because of how freaking succulent this guy is. Succulent, by the way, that's not a noun, that's an adjective. So keep that in mind when you're talking plants. Just a friendly tip from the scientific literature thesaurus over here. God, I'm an asshole. But anyway, this is a really cool plant because it exemplifies something that you call kin selection, which is where a species engages in behaviors that directly benefit their own offspring. It's a form of biological altruism. Altruism is very, very common in biology. I don't know why all these eco-fascists want to try to make it all about how colored you are. People are dumb as shit, dude. No one reads anything. But focusing on the Cattleya, it's very cool because they've done experiments, and what they found is that Cattleya seedlings alone are actually smaller than Cattleya seedlings when they're next to their parent plant, because the competition in here under the ground is so fierce that basically what happens is that when the Cattleya cachalot can tell that it's got buddies nearby, or kids, or relatives, or whatever the fuck. But it can tell that because, you know, plants communicate with one another in the root systems, basically. But it can tell that, and when that occurs, the cachalot won't root as vigorously to allow those other members of the same species to get established, which is really, really cool, because you never think of a plant as being capable of recognizing its own genes, but there you freaking go, dude. Cachalot adentula, American sea rocket, they call it. What a badass brassicaceous son of a bitch. God damn, I love alliteration. Oh yeah. Isn't that an amazing looking plant when you really break it down and get down to the foliage? See all those abrasive hairs to deter against herbivory, and that magnificent orange corolla? Oh my God. It's just to say, flowers are nice, but flowers are not the entirety of the plant. And that's why I love the grasses so much, because like the grass flowers, it's just like, oh, here's some funny leaves. Those are the flowers, I guess. Grasses are stupid. You shouldn't love them unless you're ready for it. But anyway, again, this is Lithospermum carolinense, the hairy puccoon. Gorgeous. Isn't it amazing the way the goddamn vegetation just frames these blowouts? Isn't that incredible? There's what the vegetation does for the dune, by the way. It stabilizes it. You see this huge hole? You see how there's no plants on top of it? Well, guess why the hole formed? Because there was an area that didn't have enough veg cover. It got disturbed all to shit, note the trails, and as a result, the wind from the lakeside pretty much blew it up and carried the wind directly south towards northwest Indiana and the steel mills and such. But it's really cool to see the way that the vegetation frames these bluffs, because it really does kind of give you an interest and like a very clear example, at least, of how human disturbances, which might not seem that major, can have incredibly long-lasting ramifications on the ecosystem. God, what a cool place, dude. Man, I see why Cowles was into it. Literally jumped off the bluff for this. Just a quick clip to show you that the cachalot is a true member of the Brassicaceae with the four-part corolla. Oh yeah. As you can see, I'm at the tail end of the phenology because it's already got the maturing calyx, but we've been over this already because we talked about this plant once today. But God, now it's phenologically, now it's being photogenic right in front of me, which is annoying. But there's like another weird amaranth that's been growing on the ground. I'm not that good at my foredune vegetation, apparently, because I'm seeing a lot of stuff that I don't know, which is awesome. I love this, dude. This is so cool. It's pretty fascinating the degree to which this ecosystem can like hold variable ecotones in it, because I'm in kind of like a wetter area right now. And what do I get but like forest and prairie vegetation? Like I've got a lovely Monarda fistulosa right here that a bumblebee is just going to absolute town on. Look at him go. Wonderful. I think that might be a bimaculatus, but it's a male because he's got a yellow head. And so what you can do, oh shit, he buzzed me. He didn't sting me though. That's just to demonstrate that if you know what you're doing. Oh, there he is. See, he's fine. He's going to visit those helianthuses, which is what I was going to visit next too. He's got good taste. But that's a male bumblebee. This right here is one of my favorite asters. This is a young Arnoglossum, not Plantagineum. This is a triplicifolium, I believe. And there was another one right over here. Look at those incredible disc florets. Isn't that such a weird looking aster? Can you believe that's related to the helianthus we're about to see? Oh, and of course, Sassafras albedum, Mother Nature's best mosquito repellent ever. And you don't have to put DEET on your skin, which, like, do you want to put DEET on your skin? I'd rather not. This is that helianthus that I was talking about. I think it's like Helianthus divaricatus or maybe Helianthus strumosus. Get a load of the bracts. Oh man, the Asteraceae is such a goddamn smoke shell. And you've also got your Aquilegia canadensis, which is going to seed. Might as well help him out a little bit. Give him a little crush, give him a little squeeze. And there's that nice red Aquilegia foliage. Incredible. It's a really weird little refugia here just on the edge. I think it's like it gets a bit more shade so the moisture can stay, so the veg can be a little bit more. Oh wow. Didn't even realize. We've got a huge population of Antinarias right there. Some lovely Poa action. Oh yeah, dude. This is just tight. And it's all happening in like 20 feet. Oh man. We got some Mianthemums. Beautiful. And of course, more of the Arnoglossum. Look at that thing, dude. About 4 feet tall. Absolute beauty. Maybe not 4 feet, probably closer to 3. I'm really bad at estimating heights. This actually isn't a jack pine. This is a white pine. Remember how I said jack pine had bundles of 2? White pines have bundles of 5. So that's how you distinguish this. This is a really cool area, and I'm like right next to where the where this one plant that I was looking for is. So I just got to keep surveying the area because I think I'm almost there. Hopefully. Oh man. Wow. Oh yeah. Gotta get some glory shots of the pollinators in action. That's a spice bush swallowtail. You can tell by the more light blue coloration on the hind wing. Just visiting the Monardas. Nice bumblebee female next to him. Oh man, what a lovely little place. Where the hell is the Arctostaphylos?